Hi, this is Tifs 101, brought to you by Keep Hilliard Beautiful. So what is a TIF? How do they work? Are they good for Hilliard? TIF stands for Tax Increment Financing. It's an economic development tool created by Ohio law, which can be used by a municipal government to take some of the additional property tax revenue created when a developer increases the value of a parcel and uses that new revenue to fund the construction of infrastructure necessary to support that new development, like streets, water lines, and sewers. A TIF applies only to the incremental value of a parcel after development or redevelopment. We'll illustrate what that means in a second. A TIF also has a definite term and specifies the percentage of incremental tax revenue which will be diverted. Our city government always specifies the maximum allowed by the law, which is 10 years and 75%, or if the school district is kept whole, up to 30 years and 100%. While a TIF affects all the agencies which we have over the years voted to support with property taxes, such as Franklin County Children's Services, MRDD, the Columbus Zoo, the Columbus Metropolitan Library, Metro Parks, and many others, for this presentation we'll examine the impact of TIFs on only our three local governments, the City of Hilliard, Hilliard City Schools, and Norwich Township. You might be surprised to learn that to provide the services citizens expect from our three local governments, they employ a team of over 2,000 professionals with a combined payroll of over $150 million per year. And that number goes up by about $5 million every year as those employees receive scheduled raises and the benefits costs rise. Whatever else is going on in a community, coming up with that new $5 million year in and year out is one of the major concerns of our government leaders. Each of the three governments have a particular role. The City of Hilliard operates the Hilliard Police Department. It also maintains our streets and other infrastructure, including the parks and pools. The city also has responsibility for managing economic development in such a manner to keep our community both desirable and affordable. The city is funded primarily by income taxes paid by people who are employed within the city limits regardless of where they live. Those income taxes increase automatically when any of those folks get a raise. Hilliard City Schools, which despite the name is a wholly independent government, runs our schools, of course. They employ teachers, tutors, nurses, bus drivers, custodians, and administrators necessary to provide an education to over 16,000 kids. The school district is funded primarily by property taxes paid by homeowners and businesses. Unlike income taxes, property taxes do not automatically increase. Additional funding happens only when the voters approve a school levy. Norwich Township operates the fire department, including emergency medical services for our community. The township employs the firefighters and EMTs that respond when we call 911. The township is also funded by property taxes and receives an increase in funding only when the voters approve a levy. Okay, back to TIFs. Let's say we have a 50-acre farm field. It would generate about $2,700 a year in property tax revenue for Hilliard Schools and $600 in property tax revenue for Norwich Township. Because there are no workers housed there, there is no income tax revenue for the city. These are, by the way, the actual numbers on the field on Davidson Road on the east side of 270, which is in the process of being redeveloped by Vision as the point. Then a new apartment building is built on the farm field. These numbers come from the Hilliard Summit Apartments on Roberts Road, which is approximately the same number of units. After construction, the county auditor assigned those apartments a value of $17 million. Normally that would generate $398,000 of new property taxes for Hilliard Schools and $63,000 for Norwich Township. Again, no new revenue for the city because there are no new jobs. These new revenues for the school district and the township should help cover the cost of any new students and any new 911 fire or medical emergency calls from the residents. If there is a surplus, that will help reduce the property tax burden on the other homeowners and businesses in the community. Let's assume that a 10-year 75% TIF is applied to this parcel. The apartments are still worth $17 million, but 75% of the property taxes are now diverted from the school district and the township to the city. It's a substantial sum of money, $451,000 per year in this case. According to an analysis by Hilliard City Schools Treasurer Brian Wilson, the 4 residential TIFs which have been enacted so far in Hilliard redirect so much money from the school district to cause a $1.6 million shortfall in funding the cost of educating the kids who live there. That shortfall must be covered by all the rest of the homeowners and businesses in the community. That's the reason the yes vote on Issue 9 changes the city charter to prohibit the use of TIFs only on residential developments. Issue 9 will not prohibit any kind of construction in Hilliard, only stop this redirection of taxes from residential units. Remember that apartment developers don't come here to be part of our community. They come here to harvest a profit, then leave. If they can't build a new development without new infrastructure, they should bear the cost, not the taxpayers. The winning strategy for our community is to recruit as many new large employers as possible to set up shop here. Think Verizon, or BMW Financial, or a new hospital campus. Let's say that instead of a new $17 million apartment building, we get a new $17 million office building where 2,000 employees are housed. Let's assume that those employees have an average salary of $40,000 a year, creating a combined payroll of $80 million a year. This would generate $398,000 in new property taxes for the schools, $63,000 for the township, and $1.6 million of new income tax revenue for the city. A new employer such as this becomes a long-term part of the community. Over time, many of your executives' employees may choose to build homes here so they can send their kids to Hilliard schools and be close to work. They become invested in the community and often become significant givers to our local charities and institutions. This kind of economic development is so important to our community that it is often worth the investment necessary to build new roads, even new freeway interchanges, so it will often make sense to grant a TIF to such a development to fund these infrastructure improvements. When the TIF expires, the income and property tax revenue from such a new corporate neighbor will revert to the schools and townships and substantially lessen the property tax burden on all the homeowners and other businesses. Issue 9 does nothing to restrict the application of TIFs to these viable commercial developments. In fact, Keep Hilliard Beautiful wants getting more of this kind of development to be the focus of our city leaders. To keep Hilliard beautiful and an affordable place to live, please vote yes on Issue 9.